I'm Dan Spencer. I'm a lifelong member of First Presbyterian Church, Sumter. And as I reminisce, I'll probably mention a few people by name just because they've had a real positive impact on my life. I was baptized in this church as an infant. I attended kindergarten here. At that time, Miss Piercy Parker was the director of the program, and have fond memories of her. When I was old enough, I got to come to big church, and in family circles, we affectionately all sat on what we call the Spencer pew, which is the pew with the balcony column, and to this day still sit there. And during those days, sat there with my mother, Dot Spencer, my brother, Dyke Spencer, Grandmama Spencer, couple of uncles and aunts and cousins, and usually the pew was full. The people that kind of stand out as I was a young person growing up in this church, probably the earliest memory of someone is Miss Murray, who some of the people that have been around as long as I have will remember. She did the flannel biblical storytelling, and that dated back all the way back to kindergarten days, and probably first, second grade, she continued that. Mr. John Duffy was a very influential Sunday school teacher to me. He also coached my church league basketball team, and he really served as a mentor to me. I enjoyed several summers at Camp Harmony. Back in those days, it was called Camp Harmony, and always had good times there and good memories. Probably one of the things that really stands out as a joy and good memory to me is the scouting days. I went through the Cub Scout program here at the church-sponsored pack, and then progressed into the Boy Scout troop, and really enjoyed my days there. Learned a lot. Was fortunate to have outstanding leadership by Mr. Ernest Wheatley and Mr. Walt Wheeler, who really dedicated themselves to a group of young men and trying to help them along and teach them good things in life. As a young adult, married my wife Lorette in this church. We started a family and had a daughter, Hadley, and she was baptized at this sanctuary, as well as having been raised in the youth program. And she was fortunate to be nurtured by a lot of Christian-loving people, and I could talk a whole nother segment on just her days of growing up as a youth in this church. In years to come, Lorette and I both got involved in different roles within the church. As for myself, I was fortunate to be asked to be a church officer, and accepted that role with great honor, and also served on various committees, chaired some committees. I was on the search committee that brought Ed McLeod here, which I'm proud to say. There were other things that I got involved in, and it was a privilege, I guess, to be able to say that I actually served as an elder from Jeff Aiken up to the present time. And so I got to know each one of our leaders during that time, as well as most of the interims that have served here over the years. having served as an elder for a number of years, it's allowed me to stay connected with the church and the leadership of the time. And it's always been a real meaningful experience to be under the guidance of a spiritual leader and kind of understand their commitment to the Lord. And it's always been a strong influence on me. Some of the leadership has certainly excelled with our church in the past, as well as certain church leaders that come to mind. Some of them being Ladd Owens and John Jones, Dick Harvin, Fred Brogdon, Hick Harvin. All of those men were very committed to this church and the growth of this church, and as well as things in the community. Some of those things that come to mind are the startup of Covenant Place, our involvement in kind of getting United Ministries started up. Back in those days, we were very committed to Habitat for Humanity, and were involved in building a number of homes. I kind of tend to think of those days as the glory days of First Presbyterian Church, and I feel like we are in a position now, we're kind of poised with getting closer now to hopefully preparing to begin the search for a permanent pastor, that we once again maybe could return to those glory days, as I refer to them as. There have been many things that have changed in our church and our denomination, but I think we still can be a beacon to this church and this community and this state and beyond. We used to be known as the flagship church of New Harmony Presbytery, and I think we can come back into that title or position again one day with faithful and dedication of members of our congregation. Thank you for this opportunity to share some thoughts, and I hope we together can continue the legacy of First Presbyterian Church for another 200 years.